You may have heard of survival of the fittest, but these survival stories go beyond anything you could measure. Born in 1929, Frane Selak may be one of the luckiest people to date after having survived numerous accidents from a bus crash to trains that derailed. In 1963, while on a plane to Rijeka, the door blew away and the accident killed 19 people, not including Frane. And he also survived a bus crash in 1970 when the vehicle plunged into a river, resulting in 4 casualties. With a change in luck, he went on to win a $1 million lottery in 2003. His survival stories made him very well known worldwide, especially the story in January 1962 when he was on a train headed to Dubrovnik that derailed, killing 17 people. He survived the horrific accident with only an arm fracture, scratches, and small bruises. Vesna Vulovic was able to survive a plane crash from a 33,000-foot descent and holds a Guinness World Record for longest fall without a parachute. Vesna was a stewardess in Yugoslav Airlines that departed Copenhagen on January 26, 1972 for Belgrade. When the plane took off, the crew discovered a bomb planted in the cargo section by a group called Ustaš Croatian. Vesna sat on the plane's tail, and the fall resulted in Vesna breaking her legs and 3 vertebrae, which paralyzed her lower body, and she fractured her skull. With treatment, she was able to walk again. On December 26, 2004, Maria Belen, a doctor from Madrid, Spain, and her family were vacationing at the Orchid Resort Hotel in Thailand. While lounging by the pool, Maria heard a roar and shouted at her eldest son Lucas to get in the pool. A tsunami wave hit their resort, and by willpower, Maria clutched onto a tree, only to let go in an attempt to swim to her son Lucas. Eventually, she made it to her son with severe and life-threatening injuries. After getting help, she and her son were reunited with the rest of the family at the hospital. In 2013, rescuers retrieving the bodies from a wrecked ship, the Jackson 4, were surprised to find a lone survivor, Harrison OKeen. As a cook on the ship, Harrison went into the bathroom when giant sea waves damaged the ship, immediately sinking it. Harrison somehow found an air pocket in the bathrooms on the ship, and in the dark, wet and freezing conditions, with no food or water, he survived for about 3 days before divers found him in the wreckage just off the Nigerian coast. The likelihood of surviving a grenade in close proximity is slim to none, but still, Mathew Croucher threw himself on top of an explosive grenade. Tripping on a wire in Afghanistan in 2008, the British soldier decided to save his comrades, shouting "grenade" and then diving onto the device. Acting in the millisecond from tripping the wire to jumping on the explosive, Mathew put his bag in front of him on top of the device. He managed not only to save his fellow soldiers, but also saved his own life. His act of bravery earned him a bloody nose, a headache, and a George Cross Award for gallantry. In April 2013, a garment factory collapsed, with over 1,000 employees perishing in the worst industrial accident in recent history of Bangladesh. 19-year-old Reshma Begum was pulled from the rubble after spending 17 days stuck in the wreckage. Reshma stated she could smell the fires, dust, and eventually the decaying bodies of friends and co-workers. She kept on banging on the wreckage, hoping someone would finally hear her. Luckily, she was heard, and rescuers uncovered the small space within the destruction she had sheltered in, living off biscuits from the lunchboxes of colleagues and rainwater. In one of the worst natural disasters in recent memory, claiming thousands of lives, a tsunami hit the coast of Japan after an earthquake. This tsunami left in its wake destruction that was described as unimaginable by the crews from around the world who came in to rescue any survivors. As they found body after body but no survivors, rescuers became discouraged. Hope was restored, when they discovered a 4-month-old baby in the debris. Her cries alerted them, and after digging her out, they found she had no injuries and were able to reunite her with her family. Robert Evans survived 2 accidents within 7 hours in September 2008. While Evans rode his bicycle in Colorado, a car hit him and quickly took off. He was taken to Boulder Community Hospital but released at 3 a.m. the next day. Given that Robert was homeless, he decided to pass through a railroad bridge, where he met his second accident. He was hit by an oncoming train and rushed back to the same hospital. On July 13, 1978, while working at the Institute for High Energy Physics in Protvino, researcher Anatoly Gorski survived a beam from a particle accelerator. An accident occurred due to inadequate safety measures when Anatoly was checking a piece of equipment and put his head in the path of the beam. Although he felt no pain, he indicated that he saw brightness greater than 1,000 suns, given that the beam was a radiation dose of 200,000 when entering his head and 300,000 when exiting his head. He was hospitalized in Moscow, and given that a radiation dose of 500 to 600 could kill a person, it is miraculous how he survived and went on to achieve his PhD afterwards. However, his face was swollen with loss of hearing in the left ear. Half of his face became frozen and does not age. He also has occasional small seizures. In 2003, Aron Ralston thought he was just going to spend the day canyoneering in the Blue John Canyon in Utah, but his one-day outing became a 5-day ordeal when his arm became trapped against the canyon wall by a dislodged boulder. With only a little food and water and no hope of rescue, he realized the only way to get free was to amputate his own arm with a dull multi-tool. His experience was so nerve-wracking that the film 127 Hours with James Franco was made to portray his unbelievable survival. In 1954, Anne Hodges survived a meteorite that crashed into her home in Alabama. She luckily survived the crash and only had injuries on the arm and hip. After the meteorite crashed through her roof, the grapefruit-sized meteorite was taken by the Air Force. However, her husband Eugene sought legal intervention to get the meteorite back. Anna went on to donate the 8.5-pound rock to the Alabama Museum of Natural History against the wishes of Eugene. Blinded by a sandstorm, Olympic pentathlete Mauro Prosperi became lost in the desert of the Sahara during the marathon. One of only 80 runners with just a compass, a map, and a flask of water, after a violent sandstorm completely changed the landscape and landmarks around him, he realized that even with his compass, he could not find his way to the next race checkpoint. Realizing how dangerous his situation was, he immediately started to pee in his own water supply to increase it. Finding a shelter, he mixed his urine with food rations and drank the blood of bats to survive. Mauro survived 9 days in the desert hunting for lizards and snakes until a young girl spotted him. Phineas Gage, a railway worker in September 1848, carried out dangerous experiments by placing gunpowder in a hole, putting in a fuse and sand, and then fitting it down with a tremendous tamping iron. Disaster struck when the gunpowder became ignited and the piece of iron blasted through his left cheek, exiting through the top part of his head, only to land 30 yards away from the scene. However, he was able to walk within a few minutes, but he developed fungus in his brain and 8 ounces of pus were extracted from his scalp after a few weeks. He suffered damage to his frontal cortex, which denied him reception of social inhibitions that made him engage in antisocial behavior. When he passed away, his skull and the metal bar were preserved and placed in the Warren Anatomical Museum in Boston. Many people might want to be in the Guinness Book of World Records, but maybe not for the reason Roy Sullivan got in. Surviving lightning strikes on 7 different occasions, Roy lived to tell his tale of electrical attraction. In 1942, the first bolt of lightning struck his big toe, and the second occurrence took place in 1969, where he was struck unconscious with burned eyebrows. A year later, the third one hit him in his left shoulder, and 2 years after, lightning set his hair on fire, followed by another hair-burning strike in 1973. Next, in 1976, the lightning bolt damaged his ankle, and the final one hit in 1977. A lightning strike sent him to the hospital with burns on his stomach and chest. Oddly enough, he survived all of those lightning strikes, but died from a self-inflicted gunshot to the head. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.